Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Colin Dawson. If you ever wondered why I was fat or anything else instead of like my fit and trim flyweight wrestling situation or anything else, it's the fact that I've been kidnapped by one half of my in laws' families that have taken over all the strip clubs so they suck and everything, and the Roman principalities and the Mussolini families. And it's like if I had anything for like the situation over the movie Species for a man and being like there is not being with like the evil, lesser, whatever it is, nasty people or something else. I can't go to a strip club now and be motivated to try and find hot chicks and work out. I have to actually drive probably to Nebraska where they say there's going to be nuclear winter. But anyway, on this day, 'tis the days after Hanukah and everything else, I have been formally kidnapped by the nieces and nephews. Who, everybody out there is the reason why they said they left me and my family here in this wonderful little city that they gave over to the Nazis, because they all thought that they could be like conquestual and take the enemies of the USA as wives and whatever it is and be friends with them and go to their businesses and patronize them. You know, in the form that's not really American speech, basically you're worshiping them in Roman. Over here, it's making fun of people. You patronize them and you make cartoon characters of them and everything else. But just in saying that, over there with all the little nieces, as sweet and wonderful as they are and everything else, which I'm sure I'm going to get in trouble for later, they are busy spreading icing and everything else all over everybody. And I came home. This was supposed to happen about like 12:30 so I could go and work out. And they all called because I mentioned to my mom, it's like, well, I'll go eat Waffle House with you. It'll be good, won't it? The guys on the Al-Qaeda thing were actually watching this here, going out sending messages because my screen goes down so quickly to Al-Qaeda because, see the eyebrows. Yeah, one of them actually used to put that on a safety keychain thing, the safety pins for it. They'd just scalp them off of there. And then you blame Native Americans. That's what happens when you let Mussolini's and World War II people that were here for Reconstruction that would never, ever be allowed in anything. And weren't supposed to be allowed in the military, but they killed enough people and whatever. And I'm basically like, they told me I'm a kidnapped person, teaching them how to grow ginseng or something. But whatever. Underneath the grapevines and everything else, with how it's supposed to naturally be done. And they'll get rid of me eventually whenever they learn how to do anything. And they've been wanting me to write more, talk more about the Jewish Gita, and try to talk to 2 or 3 of these other people all the time. Most of this one guy, David, don't know his last name or remember it. Has 2 wives and has a daughter that's going to school. They try interrogating me about the same time they're interrogating her, and there's a weird back feed over like Young Mind whenever I listen to them, so that they can try and coordinate whatever we know about Native American ancient culture and shit, or else anything Jewish. There's one out west that was in California or something in some movies. They all talk about her because she's like a bit actress or something else that was in a thing with Fassbender or something else. And I'm going, I don't think I'm related to her in any way, but apparently coordination. Anyway, the children have kidnapped me. I am in thorough cookie-making craziness. I thought I fell asleep in the recliner and slept through it all, and they just recoordinated so I couldn't go to the gym. They really do that because they love eating human fat because it keeps them thin and non-diabetic. And then they complained here all day with the hacks from this one police officer that's going on with everything else, who's an undercover, who says that he goes out there and he kills all the wearer people and the special people like Superman and everything else in the USA. And he's like, I don't care what you send in about me. I ain't never given up. You ain't never taken me alive. Everything else, you better quit following me around and investigating me. And I'm like, he's been going on for 2 years over shit. And I'm just going, no one's going to believe this. And he actually has gone on that the television show Grimm was him and his partner, because they do all the grim work of getting rid of the demons of those that stood against Rome and everything. And I mean, he's got bunches of look-alike people that aren't even registered on there. About 6 or 10 inbred family members and stuff that live around here. So our population, probably by my guess, is like 6 or 7,000 more for the local area and for the USA. Honestly, if we're 380 million people, there were 720 mil. And I mean, it is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, if they could arm themselves with anything more than shotguns and rifles, which I go, Bietos has to be in their pocket and nobody understands any of it. And he's going to get all the guns taken up. So it's like, dude, we've got like 15% of the military. We know how to take out the tanks. And we can make something and just get like Abrams metal and put white phosphorus on it and shoot out one of the 50 cal barrels once we can know how to make a 50 cal barrel to stand a white phosphorus. And this is shit that they talk about back in the 80s, and the federal government's always like, we were well aware of everything, and, you know, there's a Fed fucker sitting there, and he's like, I figured I'd go over here and get a hot dog right now. Are you not listening to them right now with that? I mean, I seriously cannot understand the non-brilliance of the United States, USA, other than going, it'll be a grand old civil war that you'll lose because you're offering the Constitution and they offer Jesus, international friends, and thin, sexy women. And not something where basically you're going to be called a child molester or against Christmas if you went to the gym and worked out for 2 hours. And then said, don't worry, I walked by the biggest light display downtown Knoxville's ever had. But I think that's about it for everything with what I see over with it. I mean, there's been from 2 or 3 other sources out there around this police officer that China is nothing more than a Christian druid country now, and we're all going to unify together and get rid of evil India that ass raped all of them and took them away from whatever it is and show the evils of Lord Shiva. And I'm like, can't we make that one movie out of those 50 Indiana Jones stories that shows how he was over here with these people, and he goes back to the other side, and he meets that village people again, and he goes to Shiva's side, and Shiva is evil, and he takes out Shiva, and he comes back to them, and he finds out that they're really not with either side. I mean, there's like 50 or 60 Indiana Jones movies that probably should have been made, and we should have just worked Harrison Ford to death with stuff way back when. And, you know, it only leaves one half of a story ever told, and I'm like, this must be propaganda somehow, with the movie studios going, it'll be a grand old civil war, and we'll just have East and West, and my side of the Mississippi with your side of the Mississippi, and it's like you're as stupid as Yosemite Sam. And it's like there ain't enough Bugs Bunny Jews out here to, you know, whatever the hell it is, with a red-headed Austrian showing up and wanting to be like he's a crazed gunslinger, or whatever the heck the racial stereotypes are throughout that entire thing of Looney Tunes. That it's like we all laugh at them and everything else, but now it's like, how can we make our forces go out there and be like, kill? Seriously. It's like all the Antifa people that I know that I'm like, oh my God, I know them on camera. They're all the old Mussolini kids going on about how they're anti-fascist because they've had fascism stolen from them, and we've stolen their political party movement and everything. So until they get rid of the fascist USA, they can't become fascists again and become holy and unified over their demonic side and their angelic side and become whole fascists again. And everything's about anti and pro, and it's just ridiculous. It really is. I don't understand it anymore. You know, it's like I wish I had sent some stuff into the Bureau over stuff for Native American Affairs, or sent stuff into the FBI or anything. But by the time they start complaining about it to me, I'm just going, no one's going to take this crazy shit seriously, even with a television show like Supernatural that's award-winning and been on for like so many seasons that it's nearly as old as me. The only thing these people know of is law and order and everything else. And they really don't ever get that it's like, seriously, they really do believe that. They look at you and they see an animal form and they think you can change into it. And they are very high functioning paranoid delusionals that are ridiculously crazy. They use that to get out of it, because then they can make their own medication choices and everything else. And they have so many people just to take up where they're at, and it's like, okay, so we need to do this next time around for all of you all that didn't get caught. And they just let their people have one or two people go in for a pinch or something else. It is absolutely ridiculously retarded. And everybody's like, they're so intelligent. They're so, oh, I feel so. It's like, oh my God, drop your little girl, schoolgirl thing and turn into an adult. I mean, you're like a woman that's from some country where they always rape them every day of the week. And instantly you go over and you see the scariest, meanest, worst person for yourself and go, oh, whether you're a man or a woman, and say, please, let's just get the rape over with and I'll look like I'm more cooperative. And then I'll get the kids and they'll be raised by your all's grandmother in society. I know I'm really strong. I'm like a She-Hulk, but I'm not over-muscled. I can do math, complex computer calculations, or else chemistry. Or else just be organized and do like 20,000 things all day long. Like certain housewives like to sell them off, and now I'm going, you're not that housewife. You're Peg Bundy. And you're not funny, lovable, or likable. Anyway, here's my rant for the day over how the USA is not really whatever it should be and everything else. Colin Dawson. Like and subscribe. I try to have some more positive things on, but, with all of them and their war against the different Jesuses, it's a little hard. There's 3 of them. A fat guy who's beheaded and hung upside down, a semi-retarded guy who's got his neck over to one side, and then a know-it-all intellectual that let a girl con him into being crucified and went back to Rome. And she was the leader of the Second Reich. She just had yellow hair.